Have you ever heard of a story so shocking that it forces you to question everything you thought you knew about power, corruption, and truth? In today's video, we'll dive deep into a chilling real-life tale that will not only challenge your perceptions, but also open your eyes to the hidden forces at play in the world around us. This is a story about a little girl abandoned in a car, left alone to fend for herself in an unforgiving world. What seems like a simple, tragic event turns out to be much more than it appears. The moment this young girl was discovered, left behind in a seemingly harmless situation, it marked the beginning of a much larger mystery. As we peel back the layers of this story, we'll uncover a web of connections that stretch all the way to powerful figures who would go to any lengths to keep their secrets safe. From the discovery by a vigilant police officer to the shocking twists and turns that followed, this is a story that holds powerful lessons for all of us. But it's not just about the girl or the circumstances that led to her abandonment. It's about what happens next, how this incident sets off a chain of events that reveals uncomfortable truths, challenges our understanding of justice, and forces us to confront the reality of corruption in our systems. So, grab a seat, and let's take a journey together through a story that's as unnerving as it is eye-opening. Before we dive deeper into this mystery, if you're intrigued by what's to come, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming revelations. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to light. The initial discovery of this story was not something I anticipated. Like many of you, I stumbled upon a fragment of information, just a small, seemingly inconsequential detail. It started as a casual search, something that was supposed to be simple, but quickly spiraled into something far larger and more intricate than I ever could have imagined. That small clue led me down a rabbit hole, where one discovery after another built on itself, each new piece of information more shocking and revealing than the last. It all began with a single document. At first, it seemed ordinary, perhaps even unimportant. It was a record buried in an obscure database that mentioned key figures, dates, and events in a timeline I had never considered. However, something about it struck me as odd. The names mentioned seemed strangely familiar, yet they didn't quite add up to the usual historical narrative we've all been told. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was a sense of something hidden, a deeper layer to the story that was just beneath the surface. As I dug deeper, the connections started to become clear. Historical figures, once believed to be disconnected, were revealed to be entangled in a web of secrecy and manipulation that spanned generations. These weren't just isolated incidents. They were part of a much larger and more complex system, one that spanned continents, societies, and cultures. The sheer scale of it was overwhelming. It became evident that what I had initially thought to be a minor discovery was just the tip of the iceberg. I found myself searching archives, contacting historians, and digging through records that had been hidden for decades. Every time I thought I had found the full picture, another layer of mystery would unfold. The deeper I went, the more questions I had. Who were these people? What were their real motivations? And why had this story been kept from the public for so long? One of the most striking discoveries during this phase was the inconsistencies in historical records. Official narratives had either ignored or outright erased crucial details that could have completely changed our understanding of the events. The more I uncovered, the clearer it became that the truth had been deliberately obscured, perhaps to protect powerful interests. The process of discovery was both exhilarating and unsettling. With each new revelation, it became increasingly clear that this wasn't just a tale of historical curiosity. It was a story that had real, tangible consequences that continue to affect us today. The events that I uncovered were not relegated to the distant past. They had ripple effects that reached into modern society, influencing the world in ways we often fail to recognize. And as I continued to dig deeper, it became clear that the questions I had were only the beginning. Every answer I found led to more complex, more uncomfortable truths that seemed to touch upon the very core of human nature, power, and control. But with each new discovery, I knew that this story was too important to remain untold. The truth had to be shared, no matter how unsettling or controversial it might be. As we move forward in this investigation, I encourage you to keep an open mind. The world we live in is not as straightforward as it often seems. There are forces at play that go far beyond what we see on the surface. But it's only by unearthing these hidden stories that we can truly understand the present and perhaps even shape the future. As I sat back, processing all the information I had uncovered, I couldn't help but reflect on how much this journey had changed me. It's one thing to read about history or hear about hidden truths from the outside. It's quite another to be in the midst of discovery, unearthing things that have long been buried. I have always believed in the importance of questioning, of challenging what we're told, but this experience has pushed those beliefs to their limits. What struck me most was how the revelations resonated on a deeply personal level. It wasn't just about the grand scale of the secrets I had uncovered. It was about the quiet, often uncomfortable truths that these discoveries brought to light about myself and the world around me. How much of what I thought I knew was actually just a construct? How many of my own beliefs, assumptions, and values had been shaped by narratives that weren't the full story? It became increasingly clear that many of the things we take for granted, our understanding of history, politics, and even our own identities, are shaped by narratives that we rarely question. These narratives are built over time, and they're often reinforced by the systems and structures that we trust. But those systems have their own agendas, their own priorities, and when they collide with the truth, the results can be disorienting. I started to question my own role in all of this. What responsibility do I have to share the truth? What is the cost of revealing something that could shake the foundations of what people believe? These aren't easy questions to answer. There's a certain weight that comes with being in possession of knowledge that could change everything, and it's a responsibility I don't take lightly. At the same time, there was an undeniable sense of empowerment in these reflections. Understanding that these truths have been hidden, sometimes for centuries, made me realize how important it is for all of us to seek out the full picture, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable that might be. The world isn't as simple as the stories we're told, and it's only when we dig deeper, when we question the official narratives, that we can start to understand the real forces shaping our lives. As I reflected on the bigger picture, I couldn't help but think about the people who had come before me, those who had fought to uncover the truths of their time, and those who had been silenced in the process. These discoveries aren't just academic or historical. They have profound implications for us as individuals and as a society. The courage to ask tough questions, to seek the truth even when it's difficult, is something that transcends time. It connects us to those who have come before and to those who will come after. The more I reflected, the more I understood that this journey isn't just about exposing hidden truths. It's about understanding how those truths shape our lives, our choices, and our futures. It's about how we, as individuals and as a society, respond when we come face to face with uncomfortable truths. Do we shy away from them, or do we embrace them, even if they force us to confront things we don't want to face? In many ways, this reflection process has been as revealing as the discoveries themselves. I've come to realize that the personal transformation that comes with uncovering hidden truths is just as important, if not more so, than the facts themselves. It's easy to look at these discoveries from a detached perspective, but the real change comes when we allow them to shape our own understanding of the world. I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on this as well. Think about the stories you've been told, the truths you've accepted without question, and consider what might be hidden beneath the surface. Sometimes, the hardest truths are the ones that are the most important to uncover, and in that pursuit, we not only change the way we view the world, but we also change the way we view ourselves. To fully grasp the impact of these revelations, it's essential to look at how similar discoveries have played out in real-world scenarios. These aren't just abstract ideas. They have tangible, often profound consequences on societies and individuals alike. Time and time again, history shows us how the unveiling of hidden truths can challenge the status quo, provoke social unrest, and even reshape the course of events. Let's take a closer look at some real-world examples where uncovering uncomfortable truths has sparked lasting change. One of the most significant and well-known examples comes from the world of political and corporate corruption. Consider the Watergate scandal of the 1970s. At its core, Watergate was a political conspiracy where key members of the Nixon administration were caught attempting to cover up their involvement in the break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters. It was a secret that could have been buried forever. But thanks to investigative journalism and the relentless pursuit of the truth, the story came to light. The aftermath was nothing short of seismic. Not only did it lead to the resignation of President Richard Nixon, but it also forever altered the American political landscape, changing the way the media interacted with the government and how much trust the public could place in their leaders. Similarly, the corporate world has seen its fair share of scandals that have had far-reaching consequences. One that stands out is the Enron scandal. Enron was once one of the largest energy companies in the world, but behind its success was a web of lies, fraud, and corporate malfeasance. Enron executives had been hiding their company's financial troubles through complex accounting tricks, making the company appear far more successful than it actually was. When the truth came to light in 2001, it led to the company's collapse, the loss of thousands of jobs, and a dramatic shift in corporate governance laws. The scandal highlighted the dangers of unchecked corporate power and led to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which instituted stricter regulations on financial reporting. Then there are the personal examples, stories of everyday people who have fought against the system to uncover truths that have changed their lives and the lives of others. Take, for example, the case of Erin Brockovich, a legal clerk who uncovered a massive case of environmental contamination by Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E, in Hinckley, California. Through her determination and relentless pursuit of justice, Brockovich exposed how the company had knowingly polluted the local water supply, causing a host of health issues among residents. Her efforts led to a landmark lawsuit, resulting in a $333 million settlement for the affected families. Erin Brockovich's story isn't just about a legal victory. It's a testament to the power of one person's ability to bring about change, no matter how insurmountable the challenge may seem. Another powerful example is the #MeToo movement, which began as a social media hashtag and grew into a global movement to expose sexual harassment and assault in industries across the world. It all started when women began speaking out against powerful men in positions of influence, particularly in Hollywood. As more and more stories were shared, a larger pattern emerged that sexual abuse and harassment had been systematically overlooked, ignored, or even condoned in powerful circles. The courage of these women, who were willing to publicly share their traumatic experiences, led to an awakening across industries. Many powerful figures were held accountable, and the movement sparked widespread changes in workplace policies, laws, and attitudes towards sexual harassment. What started as individual stories of trauma grew into a global reckoning with systemic injustice. In these real-world cases, the unveiling of hidden truths wasn't without consequences. There were risks involved, political, professional, and personal, that the individuals or groups responsible for exposing these truths had to confront. Yet, these examples also show how these truths had the power to provoke meaningful change. It's easy to dismiss uncovering hidden truths as simply an exercise in exposing corruption or scandal, but the impact goes far beyond that. Each of these examples demonstrates how revealing the truth can force society to confront uncomfortable realities, challenge deeply ingrained systems, and ultimately spark reforms that make the world a better place. This idea applies to the broader picture, too. Whether we're discussing environmental disasters, political scandals, or corporate corruption, the importance of truth-seeking cannot be overstated. It's easy to bury uncomfortable truths and maintain the status quo, but it's only by facing those truths head-on that we can hope to move forward. These examples remind us that uncovering the truth often isn't easy, and it may come at a great personal cost, but the results, social, political, and personal transformations, speak for themselves. When we look at these real-world examples, we realize that the pursuit of truth isn't just about uncovering facts. It's about shaping the world we live in and ensuring that we hold ourselves and our systems accountable. As we dive deeper into this story, we see that the implications of uncovering the truth go far beyond the immediate fallout. These revelations often serve as a catalyst for long-lasting change. not just in the lives of the individuals directly involved, but also in the wider cultural or societal context. In the same way that the exposure of corruption and injustice reshapes public perception, the broader narrative of discovery extends far beyond the original intent. It sparks a chain of events that can fundamentally alter entire systems. Let's consider the wider implications of such discoveries. In the case of political scandals like Watergate, the immediate consequences were clear. A president resigned, and trust in government institutions plummeted. But over time, these events sparked greater transparency and a shift in the public's approach to governance. Citizens began to demand more from their elected officials, more accountability, more transparency, and, most importantly, more honesty. This shift led to a series of reforms, including stronger checks and balances, campaign finance reforms, and, perhaps most notably, the Freedom of Information Act, which allowed citizens greater access to government records. While Watergate didn't mark the end of corruption in politics, it ignited a movement toward accountability that reverberated across generations. The public's willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about their leaders paved the way for reforms that endure today. Similarly, when it comes to corporate scandals like Enron, the immediate damage was severe. Thousands of employees lost their jobs, investors lost their savings, and the world watched as a once great corporation crumbled under the weight of its deceit. But the exposure of Enron's practices didn't just lead to the company's collapse. It sparked a revolution in corporate governance. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, for instance, was a direct result of the Enron debacle. The act implemented stricter regulations around accounting practices and financial disclosures, aiming to prevent similar corporate fraud in the future. This change wasn't just about punishing one company. It was about protecting the integrity of the entire financial system. By holding corporations to higher standards and forcing them to be more transparent, the Enron scandal had an enduring impact on business practices across the world. What is fascinating about these stories is that the uncovering of these truths didn't just expose the wrongdoings of a few individuals. It uncovered systemic issues that affected entire industries, governments, and societies. When Aaron Brockovich exposed PG&E's contamination of the water supply, it wasn't just a legal victory for the people of Hinckley, California. It was a moment that brought the environmental issues to the forefront of public consciousness. The case highlighted the way powerful corporations were allowed to operate without regard for the well-being of local communities. And it spurred a wave of activism around environmental justice. It wasn't just a fight for compensation. It was a fight for the environment and the health of future generations. In much the same way, the #MeToo movement, which began as an individual cry for help, quickly grew into a massive cultural shift. What started with stories of harassment in Hollywood spread across industries, highlighting how pervasive the issue was. It wasn't just a campaign for individual victims. It became a demand for societal change. The movement forced us to re-examine our collective understanding of power, consent, and justice. It led to sweeping reforms in workplace policies, legal action against perpetrators, and, perhaps most importantly, a cultural shift in how we think about and address sexual harassment. The #MeToo movement didn't just expose the behavior of a few high-profile figures. It revealed the extent to which these behaviors were normalized and perpetuated within systems of power. These examples show that when hidden truths are uncovered, they don't just serve as a form of justice for the individuals involved. They provide a window into systemic flaws that need addressing. The consequences of these discoveries aren't confined to the events themselves. They ripple outwards, reshaping entire structures. Each revelation forces us to confront uncomfortable realities, pushing us to reimagine how systems should work and what kind of future we want to build. But as we look at these cases, we must also consider the emotional and personal toll these discoveries take on those involved. For every person like Aaron Brockovich or the women of #MeToo who gain a sense of empowerment from exposing the truth, there are countless others who suffer in silence. The personal cost of these revelations is often high, whether it's facing public scrutiny, enduring personal loss, or dealing with the emotional fallout of confronting painful truths. Yet, despite these challenges, The courage of those who step forward reminds us that the pursuit of truth is not just an intellectual exercise. It's deeply personal, and it often comes at great cost. But it is through this process that society is able to move forward, learning from past mistakes and working toward a more just and equitable future. The expanded narrative of these discoveries is not just about the events themselves. It's about the lasting impact they have on individuals, communities, and societies. It's about the transformation that occurs when people dare to confront the truth, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable that truth may be. Reflecting on the stories of discovery we've explored, I can't help but think about how these moments of revelation shape us on a personal level. As we dive into the complexities of hidden truths, the ethical dilemmas, and the personal transformations that come with exposure, it becomes clear that the stories we tell ourselves about the world can often be more fragile than we realize. I've found that discovering uncomfortable truths in our own lives often forces us to confront aspects of ourselves and our society that we would rather ignore. It's one thing to look at a large-scale event, like Watergate or the Enron scandal, and discuss how society at large responded. But it's another thing entirely when the discovery is closer to home, when it's about our personal relationships, the institutions we trust, or even the way we live our lives. I can't help but wonder how often we ignore the signs around us, either out of fear, convenience, or the simple human desire to maintain a sense of normalcy. In many ways, these stories of uncovering hidden truths aren't just about those who have the courage to speak out. They're also about the people who are left behind, the ones who fail to ask the hard questions or to confront the uncomfortable aspects of their lives. In my own experience, I've had moments where truths, long buried, surfaced in ways I couldn't ignore, and each time, I felt the weight of those discoveries settle on my shoulders. At first, there's resistance, the urge to look away, to pretend nothing has changed, but over time, that resistance gives way to a deeper understanding, a reckoning that forces you to make a choice. Either continue on the path you were on, with the knowledge of what you now know, or change course entirely, and perhaps even change the way you see the world. It's in these moments of reckoning that I've learned the importance of staying true to oneself. The pressure to conform, to ignore the truth because it's easier or more comfortable, can be overwhelming. But I've come to realize that embracing the discomfort of truth, no matter how difficult, is the only way to move forward with integrity. This personal journey isn't just about me, it's about all of us. Each one of us faces moments in life when the truth comes to light, whether it's about a relationship, a career choice, or a larger societal issue. How we respond to these moments defines who we are. Do we stay silent? Do we defend the status quo? Or do we stand up, confront the discomfort, and use our newfound knowledge to fuel positive change? The difficult thing about uncovering truths is that it often requires sacrifice. It might mean losing people, jobs, or relationships. It might even mean sacrificing your sense of peace, as the process of discovery often leads to turmoil. But there's also something incredibly freeing about the moment when you face the truth and allow it to shape your actions. There's a sense of liberation that comes from no longer carrying the burden of ignorance, from no longer pretending that things are the way they seem. What I've also realized is that we are often complicit in maintaining certain systems or relationships, simply because we are too afraid to confront them head-on. Whether it's societal norms, toxic work cultures, or even personal habits, we tend to go along with things because it's easier. The fear of change, of confronting something we don't know how to fix, keeps us from seeing the full picture. But it's only by tearing down those walls of fear that we can truly begin to understand the world for what it is and, ultimately, begin to make the changes we need in our own lives. This is where personal growth comes into play. Just like the characters in the stories we've discussed, we too are on a journey of self-discovery. Every hidden truth we uncover within ourselves challenges us to grow, to redefine our values, and to rethink what we want from the future. These moments force us to question whether we've been living authentically, or if we've simply been going through the motions, doing what's expected of us. In my own life, I've learned that these moments of personal insight don't always come with clear answers. Sometimes, they leave us with more questions than we had before. But in that uncertainty, we find the opportunity for growth. It's not always about having the right answers immediately. It's about being willing to ask the tough questions, even when they make us uncomfortable. The power of discovery, whether on a personal or societal level, is that it challenges us to evolve. It forces us to reckon with the truth, to navigate the complexities of life with greater awareness, and to ultimately strive for a more authentic existence. This journey isn't easy, but it's one that shapes us in ways we can't fully understand until we look back on it. In the end, embracing the process of discovery, no matter how challenging, is what allows us to move forward with purpose and clarity. And as we think about all these stories of public revelations, personal reckonings, and societal shifts, it becomes clear that the real lesson isn't in the discovery itself, but in how we choose to respond. Do we hide from the truth, or do we embrace it, even when it shakes the very foundation of what we believe to be true? As we reflect on the journeys of discovery we've explored, both personal and societal, there are several major lessons that stand out. Lessons that not only shape our understanding of the world, but also guide our actions moving forward. These lessons are universal, yet deeply personal, and they offer insights into how we navigate the complexities of life, uncover uncomfortable truths, and ultimately grow as individuals and communities. The first major lesson that emerges from these discoveries is the importance of embracing discomfort. Whether we're uncovering a scandal, confronting our own biases, or questioning the systems we operate within, the process of discovery often requires us to step outside our comfort zones. And as uncomfortable as it might feel in the moment, it's through this discomfort that we often experience the greatest growth. It's easy to avoid difficult conversations or ignore the signs that something isn't quite right. In fact, many of us have likely done so at various points in our lives, whether it was in our personal relationships, careers, or broader societal issues. The fear of confrontation, of facing the unknown, can keep us from asking the hard questions or confronting the truth. But if we continue to shy away from the discomfort, we miss out on the opportunity for transformation. The second lesson is the power of resilience. Discovering the truth, especially when it's painful or jarring, is not the end of the journey, it's just the beginning. The real challenge comes in how we respond to that truth. Will we let it break us down, or will we find the strength to rebuild, adapt, and move forward with newfound clarity? Resilience isn't about ignoring the pain or pretending everything is okay. It's about accepting the challenges that come with discovery and finding the courage to continue moving forward, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. It's about using what we've learned to shape a better future, whether it's on a personal level or within the context of our communities. The third lesson is the value of self-awareness. The more we learn about the world around us, the more we realize how much we still don't know. Self-awareness is crucial in this process because it allows us to see where we might be complicit, where we might be avoiding uncomfortable truths, and where we can make a difference. It's easy to point fingers at others, to blame the system, or to look for external sources of our problems. But the most transformative change happens when we turn the lens inward. Self-awareness helps us recognize our own biases, assumptions, and blind spots, things we might have been blind to before. It allows us to ask the tough questions about our own actions, beliefs, and motivations. This leads to the next lesson, the importance of accountability. In the stories we've shared, whether it's political corruption, environmental issues, or personal relationships, one common thread is the need for accountability. Without it, systems break down, trust erodes, and progress stalls. Accountability is what ensures that the truth doesn't get buried, that those who have power are held responsible for their actions, and that we, as individuals, take ownership of our role in the world around us. But accountability isn't just about external forces, it's also about the internal commitments we make to ourselves. It's about owning our mistakes, acknowledging when we've fallen short, and being willing to make things right. It's about taking responsibility for the impact of our actions, both big and small. Another critical lesson we can take away from these discoveries is the value of community and connection. As we navigate the complexities of life and uncover difficult truths, we often find ourselves at a crossroads. It's easy to feel isolated, to think that we're the only ones facing these challenges. But the truth is, none of us are alone. We are all part of a larger web of connections, whether through family, friends, colleagues, or even broader societal networks. In times of discovery, it's important to lean on these connections. It's through community that we find support, validation, and strength. By sharing our experiences and listening to others, we create spaces where truth can be spoken, where healing can begin, and where collective action can lead to meaningful change. The lessons of history remind us that many of the greatest movements for justice and equality were driven by communities coming together to challenge the status quo and demand accountability. Finally, the last major lesson is the importance of hope and vision. The process of discovery can often be disheartening. Whether it's learning about systemic injustices, personal failures, or societal shortcomings, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of what we uncover. But in these moments, it's crucial to remember that discovery is not just about what's broken. It's also about what's possible. The greatest transformations throughout history have been driven by individuals and communities who dared to imagine a better future, who saw beyond the present challenges to the possibilities that lay ahead. Hope is what fuels change, and vision is what guides us toward it. When we embrace the lessons of discovery, we are not simply left with a sense of despair. We are given the tools to envision a more just, compassionate, and inclusive world. As we reflect on these major lessons, it becomes clear that the process of uncovering truths, whether personal, societal, or global, requires a willingness to confront discomfort, a commitment to resilience, self-awareness, and accountability, and a recognition of the power of community and hope. These lessons are not just theoretical. They are practical guides for how we can navigate the complexities of life with integrity, compassion, and purpose. In the end, it's not just about what we discover, but how we choose to respond to that discovery. Will we let it break us, or will we use it to build a better future for ourselves and those around us? The choice is ours. As we approach 2025, one of the most pressing concerns for many citizens around the world is the health of their global leaders. In an age of rapid political, technological, and social shifts, the physical and mental well-being of those who hold power has never been more critical. Leaders influence the trajectory of nations and, by extension, the world. Their decisions affect everything from international relations to economic stability, public health, and even the climate. But as the global stage shifts, we must ask, how prepared are our leaders to manage the pressures of the modern world, especially given the toll these roles take on their health? The first factor to consider when assessing the health of global leaders is aging demographics. Many of the world's most prominent political figures, such as Joe Biden, Vladimir Putin, and others, are older than previous generations of leaders. While experience and wisdom are invaluable, age can also bring a variety of health challenges. In 2025, many of these leaders will be in their 70s or even 80s, raising questions about their physical and cognitive health. The demands of high office require sharp decision-making, stamina, and a capacity to absorb and process vast amounts of information, which can be particularly taxing as one ages. However, there is a growing trend toward health management and preventive care among political leaders, as many recognize the importance of staying in peak condition to meet the challenges of their roles. Advances in medical technology, personalized health plans, and increased access to high-level healthcare are allowing leaders to manage their health more effectively. Specialized doctors, fitness regimens, and stress management techniques have become standard practices, helping them remain engaged and active. Even so, it is clear that the physical toll of leadership cannot be entirely avoided, especially in the face of global crises, constant media scrutiny, and the demands of diplomacy. In addition to physical health, the mental health of global leaders has emerged as a key area of focus. The pressures of leadership, balancing national priorities, international relations, and public expectations can have profound effects on mental well-being. Anxiety, depression, and burnout are real concerns for those at the helm, as they must carry the weight of entire nations on their shoulders. The need for mental health support has never been greater, as leaders are increasingly being called upon to balance their public duties with personal well-being. In response, some leaders have begun to prioritize mental health more than ever before, seeking out therapy, meditation, or even taking scheduled breaks to recharge. Another important consideration is the technological impact on the health of global leaders. With advances in AI, remote work technologies, and other digital tools, political leaders have the ability to manage more aspects of their work from a distance, minimizing the need for travel and reducing the physical strain of constant international meetings. However, these technologies come with their own set of challenges. The pressure to be constantly connected and responsive can exacerbate stress and lead to issues like sleep deprivation, which, in turn, affects overall health. Additionally, the rapid pace of information and decision-making required by modern technology means leaders are often bombarded with data, which can have negative effects on cognitive function over time if not properly managed. The public's role in the health of global leaders is also significant. Transparency regarding the health of leaders has become a subject of intense debate. In many countries, citizens demand transparency about the health of their leaders, especially when they hold significant power and influence. In some cases, this has led to public scrutiny, with leaders facing pressure to disclose information about their physical and mental well-being. While transparency is important for ensuring that leaders are capable of fulfilling their duties, there is a delicate balance between the right to know and the right to privacy. Health is a deeply personal matter, and the constant scrutiny of global leaders' health can have unintended consequences, such as increased stress or pressure to appear invincible. As we look ahead to 2025, there are also emerging global health concerns that could affect leaders' health in unprecedented ways. The ongoing challenges of pandemics, climate change, and geopolitical tensions create a volatile environment that may exacerbate the health risks faced by those in power. The COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, highlighted how global leaders can be vulnerable to public health crises, and future global health challenges will require quick, decisive action that tests both the physical and mental resilience of those in charge. Leaders must be prepared to respond to such crises, not only as political figures, but also as individuals facing the same health threats as the populations they serve. One factor that has become increasingly important in this discussion is diversity in leadership. As more women and younger leaders rise to positions of power, the health of global leaders may be more holistically considered, taking into account a broader range of health experiences and challenges. The inclusion of diverse voices in leadership roles offers the opportunity for a more balanced approach to leadership health, where both physical and mental well-being are given equal attention, and leadership styles can reflect a greater understanding of personal and collective health needs. In conclusion, the health of global leaders in 2025 is a multifaceted issue that requires attention not only to the physical demands of leadership, but also to the mental resilience necessary to navigate the complexities of our modern world. Aging populations, mental health awareness, technological advancements, public scrutiny, and the broader global health landscape all play significant roles in shaping the well-being of those in power. As we move forward, it's crucial that the world continues to prioritize the health of its leaders, recognizing that their well-being directly impacts the stability, success, and future of nations and the global community. As we near the end of this discussion, it's crucial to reflect on the key takeaways and consider the broader implications of the issues we've explored today. From the technological advancements shaping our world, to the health of global leaders, and the challenges of mental and physical well-being, the journey toward 2025 is one of transformation, uncertainty, and opportunity. One of the most significant insights from this discussion is the growing importance of resilience. Whether it's the resilience of individuals facing global challenges, the resilience of leaders under pressure, or the resilience of societies adapting to change, the future is uncertain, and it's clear that we must prepare for challenges that will test our ability to remain strong in the face of adversity. This resilience is not only about the capacity to withstand hardships, but also the ability to adapt, learn, and grow stronger from our experiences. As we look at the health of global leaders, it's clear that the demands of leadership are changing. The traditional image of a leader as a figure of invulnerability is no longer realistic, nor is it healthy. Today, leaders must be more attuned to their own well-being, prioritizing mental and physical health in order to effectively lead their nations. The future will likely see a more transparent approach to leadership health, where mental well-being is considered just as important as physical health. This shift could lead to a healthier, more sustainable model of leadership, one that acknowledges the human element of those in power. Technological advancements are both a blessing and a challenge for global leaders. While they provide unprecedented opportunities for efficiency and innovation, they also introduce new pressures, such as the need for constant connectivity and the overwhelming flow of information. The balance between embracing technology and maintaining mental clarity will be a delicate one for leaders in 2025 and beyond. The ability to manage this balance will determine not only the success of leaders, but the well-being of societies at large. In examining the real-world examples of leadership struggles, we see that personal health and mental resilience are not just theoretical concerns. They are real, tangible issues that affect the decisions and actions of those at the top. Whether it's a sudden health crisis, a period of mental exhaustion, or the pressures of public scrutiny, leaders' vulnerabilities are often exposed in ways that directly influence their capacity to lead. The message here is clear. Leaders are human, and their well-being should never be overlooked. In reflecting on the lessons learned, we are reminded that the world is interconnected in ways we may not always fully realize. The health of one leader, or the choices of one nation, can have far-reaching implications. Therefore, as we approach 2025, it is vital that we, as global citizens, continue to focus on fostering environments that promote well-being, compassion, and sustainable leadership. The future belongs to those who prioritize both mental and physical health, recognizing that leadership is not a solitary endeavor but a collective one. Finally, as we close this discussion, let us not forget the importance of engagement. The challenges we face as a global community require us all to be involved, to stay informed, and to participate in shaping the future. Each of us, whether as citizens, advocates, or professionals, has a role to play in supporting the health and well-being of our leaders, our communities, and our nations. Our collective efforts will determine the kind of world we create, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. As we move toward 2025, let's embrace the lessons from the past, face the challenges of the present, and work together to create a future that is healthier, more resilient, and more compassionate. The path ahead is not without its obstacles, but with awareness, collaboration, and commitment, we can shape a world that supports both leadership and the well-being of all its people. Thank you for taking the time to explore these pressing issues with me. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's continue to build a better future together. As we wrap up today's deep dive into the pressing issues that will define the future, it's crucial to turn the focus back to you, the viewer. The challenges we've discussed, from the health of global leaders to the role of technology in shaping our world, are not just abstract concepts. They are real, tangible issues that each of us, as individuals and as a global community, must engage with if we want to make a meaningful difference. I want to encourage you to take action. The conversation doesn't end here. In fact, this is just the beginning of a much larger dialogue about the future of leadership, health, technology, and society. If today's discussion has sparked any questions, ideas, or even frustrations, I invite you to share them in the comments section below. Your thoughts and perspectives are valuable, and engaging with each other in the comments can help us all learn and grow as we face the challenges ahead. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like this video. Every like shows that you're not just passively watching but actively participating in this conversation. And, of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Subscribing means you'll be notified every time we release new content that tackles issues like these, and you'll be part of an ever-growing community of people who care about the future. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. But engagement doesn't stop there. Share this video with your friends, family, or anyone who you think might benefit from these discussions. The more people we have talking about the future of leadership, health, and technology, the more we can influence positive change on a global scale. Share it on your social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Let's get this conversation out there and ensure that these important topics aren't just talked about in a vacuum. The more people who join the conversation, the more impact we can have. And if you truly believe in the mission of this channel, consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support enables us to continue creating high-quality content, do in-depth research, and bring these critical conversations to the forefront. Whether you contribute a small amount or a larger one, your support is invaluable and helps us sustain this community of engaged, thoughtful individuals. By becoming a patron, you also get access to exclusive content, early releases, and behind-the-scenes looks at how we create our videos. It's an opportunity for you to be a part of something bigger than just a passive viewer. It's a way for you to contribute to the creation of content that matters. But even if you can't support us financially, you can still make a huge difference. Your voice is incredibly powerful. Share your opinions, ask questions, challenge ideas, and offer solutions. We want to hear from you. Every comment, every conversation, every piece of feedback helps us create more relevant, impactful content. Your input will shape the direction of future videos, helping us cover the topics that matter most to you. Finally, I want to leave you with one last thought. Stay engaged, stay informed, and keep asking the tough questions. The future is not set in stone, and it's up to us, the people, to shape the world we want to live in, whether it's through voting, advocating for policies that prioritize health and well-being, or simply talking to those around us. Our collective efforts will determine the course of history. So, what's next? Take action today. Leave a comment below. Share this video, like, subscribe, and engage. Join us as we continue to explore the issues that matter most and work together to make a better future for all. As we come to the end of today's video, I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored together. We've looked at some big questions about the future of global leadership, the health of our world's most influential figures, and how technology, societal changes, and the collective effort of all of us can shape the course of events in 2025 and beyond. It's been a journey of discovery, thought-provoking insights, and, I hope, a sense of empowerment. One thing that stands out from our discussion is that the future is not something we passively wait for. It's something we actively create. Every decision we make, whether it's in our personal lives or on a global stage, plays a role in shaping the direction we go. From the choices we make as voters to the way we engage with technology, the future is in our hands. I've always believed that knowledge is power, and with the information we've shared today, we have the ability to take that power and channel it into positive change. But that change doesn't come overnight. It requires continuous effort, open dialogue, and the willingness to face difficult questions head-on. But that's why it's so crucial for us to stay engaged. Whether it's by staying informed about the health and well-being of global leaders, understanding the risks and challenges of technological advancements, or simply looking to the past to learn from our mistakes, each step we take toward a better future is important. We may not have all the answers right now, but through collaboration and persistence, we can come up with solutions that matter. And that's where you come in. Your thoughts, your actions, and your involvement are key to making sure we stay on the right path. By being active in this community, sharing your perspectives, and engaging in discussions like the one we've just had, you become part of the solution. Every comment you leave, every like you give, and every video you share is a small but meaningful step toward creating the future we want to see. I also want to remind you that this journey doesn't stop here. The world will continue to evolve, and so will the topics we cover. So, don't forget to stay tuned for more videos, more deep dives into the issues that matter most, and more opportunities for us to learn and grow together. If you have any thoughts or suggestions for future videos, feel free to drop them in the comments. I read every single one, and your input helps shape the direction of this channel. Before we wrap up, I just want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this conversation today. Whether you're a longtime supporter or a new viewer, your presence and engagement mean the world. We are building a community that cares deeply about the future, and together, we can make a real difference. So, let's keep pushing forward. Let's keep questioning, learning, and improving. The future is waiting for us, and it's in our hands to shape it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, take care, stay curious, and keep striving for a better tomorrow.